Infrastructure plays a vital role in the economic growth of any given country. Infrastructure is also a basis upon which trade links are built. Trade is an interaction that sustains society and its general economy, and without infrastructure, there won't be trade, and without trade, there is no economic growth. Apart from being left behind in many areas of infrastructure development, the African continent is also behind in terms of maintenance of the existing infrastructure and the funding thereof. Andrew Johnston, an infrastructure development expert, says there is a lot to do to catch up with the rest of the world. But how did we get so behind? Or is it a case of lacking the know-how?
We don't actually lack the know-how, interestingly enough. There is sufficient understanding and intellectual capacity on the continent to deliver infrastructure. We don't actually need to reinvent the wheel. We need to just learn the lessons from elsewhere who have got it right. The developed countries, South America, China, they have got infrastructure development and investing right. All have their different costs associated to them, but we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
All 54 African countries are trying to solve their issues individually, and that's the biggest challenge the continent is faced with. And the question is, how do we combine our effort as a continent?
We need to actually address infrastructure as regional blocks so that power can be generated in one country and used in another, that toll roads interlink cross borders. We need to think about infrastructure outside of the borders that exist within Africa, and we need to try and solve it from a regional perspective, sub-Saharan area or East Africa or West Africa. That is the main difference between other regions who operate in larger jurisdictions than Africa. We're too fragmented to come up with a simple infrastructure solution for the continent.
Another aspect that Africa needs to master is attracting long-term investors, because the capital needed for infrastructure development is long-term. This includes two types of capital, one being government capital and the other long-term savings from pension funds and insurance companies. Countries such as South Africa and Namibia, as well as Ghana and Nigeria, have the largest pension industries on the continent, and it is this type of institutions that need to redeploy their capital into these long-term assets to create the infrastructure needed by the continent. The core infrastructure that Africa needs to prioritize first include roads, water system, electricity, transport and telecommunications. Timo Andreas, Business Today, Windhoek.